welcome back to the Inner Podcast, where you get to embrace your inner nerd. I'm your host, Brandon.
And I'm your host, Aaron.
How you doing today, Aaron?
I'm not too bad. I'm doing.
You're doing?
Yep, I'm trekking along,
Yeah,
surviving.
I feel that.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm tired. Also trucking along.
I feel like I have very little energy today.
Yeah, I feel that. Just to throw something out there, I think we're a little thrown off. As of recording this, it is Monday. Because my stupid ass had to be sick on Thursday. I mean, technically, I guess we could have recorded. Like, it wasn't impossible. But I was sick to the point where, like, I wanted to die, kind of sick. So, I don't think I was really in the mood to record then. So, I think today's just a weird day. I told Casey that earlier. She asked me, like, how are you doing today? And I'm like, I think today's just weird. Like, I don't know what it is. Something about it is off.
Obviously, I can't speak for the both of us. My day wasn't, I wouldn't say it's weird. It's just short, but I guess I just ended up using up more energy and kind of drained my social battery a little bit today, because by the time I got home, I just showered, I sat down, turned on YouTube, and didn't really feel like I had the energy for this today. It's not like something I'm dreading or whatever. I'm just kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, for me, it was the second half of the day kind of became a mental exhaustion kind of thing, because I had to deal with one customer for 3 hours. He didn't want to do what he had to do on his part, and so it slowed things down for us. And it was just really exhausting, and he's a very exhausting customer. Today was kind of slow for the most part, so I didn't really want to put in a lot of effort today or into today. I'm not going to lie, I actually spent the second half of today watching your channel.
My channel?
Yeah. Like, I was... I kind of just went back and I was kind of scrolling through my older stuff, and then somehow I landed across some of your older stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? And then I just started watching your stuff from the beginning. And then I got through 3 videos. I got through the Spawn Section 8, which is still one of my favorite videos.
The Section 8 one?
Yeah.
I agree.
There's something about it. Like, some of the jokes that you make, they really land well. And just some of the stuff that you mentioned is stuff that, like, I experienced with you, because you were talking a lot about our childhood.
Right.
And so I was kind of brought back to that age, so I started, like, reminiscing about certain things. And then then I watched the third one, which was the Jump Street one, which is one of my personal favorites.
That one took a long time to put together for how short it is.
Yeah, and every single time I would finish a video, I would, like, scroll through the comments of each video just to see how it was received. And for the most part, a lot of people, like, in the first Spawn video, it was a lot of, like, I actually think this is a great idea, or, oh, I just started getting into Spawn, and this would be an amazing movie. And then for the Section 8 one, it was one comment, I think, and it was, I played that game when I was younger. I really liked it, or something like that. It was super basic.
Yeah.
And then the 21 Jump Street one was also a lot of people saying, like, oh, I actually watched the original show recently and really liked it. And then, I don't know if I'm remembering this wrong. Again, today was a weird day. But I think there was one comment that just didn't make sense.
Which one?
I can't remember because it didn't really make much sense. Again, maybe I could look it up. Oh, no, my phone's charging. But yeah, I literally just spent half the day watching your videos. And yeah, I'm a genuine fan of your channel.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Same can't be said or the other way around. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know what that was. That was
I know what it was, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
Oh.
No, I am a fan of your channel, but what's different our channels are obviously very different because your content's very much like, not to say that this could be said for everyone, but it's the kind of content that I play in the background.
That's fair.
Long form videos where it's not like hyper focused or detail oriented, I pay enough attention to where, you know, if something's going on, I'll definitely turn to watch or whatever. But it's usually just something I have on in the background. I've also gotten pretty good at multitasking, like being able to listen to something and even watch or do something else. I think it's just because at work I listen to podcasts all day. But so even when your video is playing on in the background and I'm editing or even watching another video or something like on my computer for whatever reason, I can still pay attention to what's going on.
You know, it's funny you say that is because a couple months ago, I started like brainstorming some possible ideas for like rebranding like my channel and how I wanted to go about just like how I present it and everything. Because something, I don't know if other YouTubers feel this way, but like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, they kind of got like a theme, but it's like, it's kind of basic. And they've been running with it for years, like since the beginning.
But they were kind of able to do it when the kind of themes that they have were interesting.
Right.
Like when you could have a crazy name like Jacksepticeye and he had like the green eyeball.
Yeah, well, right. So, and I was thinking about that and kind of going back and forth because I'm not sure if a lot of people care about that anymore, and I've also heard a lot of YouTubers get to a point where they're sick of their titles. Like Ethan Nestor, he went through a whole thing where he didn't like being Crank Gameplays anymore because he didn't want to be known for being like a loud kid who just screamed at video games. So he changed his thing to like Ethan Nestor, and he does more than just gaming. He does game every now and then, but it's just very simplified. Like he didn't worry too much about it.
I guess it might just be like a particular issue he might have been having, but I was just, before we started recording, I was just watching. Do you remember back in the day, all of those funny videos from Stone Mountain 64? He'd be like a guy, he'd be playing Battlefield or Call of Duty, and he's like, all right, guys, it's time to go in and shoot hard and blah, 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 blah. And then he'd be like super obnoxious and he'll be like, Mom, stop. I'm playing a game. And he'd just be making a bunch of funny like commentary jokes while he's playing with a bunch of people, making like the people he's playing with laugh.
Okay.
Anyways, he makes very different content now. Like a lot of it's based around video games, but it's him. But now it's him making like 15 to 30-minute videos of him kind of reviewing a particular game or his experience doing specific challenges on games and his experience with it. Right. So they're much more grounded and not as obnoxious as his content used to be, but he still goes by Stone Mountain 64. So it's just kind of like, I think as long as you're consistent with like a theme or you've gotten an audience that's grappled onto that specific thing, like in Ethan's case, maybe it's like a particular issue he was having, but I think in broad terms, if he kept on going as like Crank Games or whatever, it wouldn't be a big deal because a lot of the people that have stuck by him or are his longtime viewers know him by that. It'd be like if PewDiePie just changed his channel to Felix or something like that.
Well, yeah. So I was like contemplating for a while, like if I needed a theme or didn't want a theme, because I also wanted the ability to not be stuck doing one thing. Because even though I always say like, oh, I want to do these other videos, I have like 5 scripts for like commentary videos that are just waiting to be made. And then I have like 2 art ideas that I'm too afraid to do, but they're planned out and whatnot. but I continuously play video games. But like I even debated on calling my channel The Background Gamer. Because when I remember when I first made the channel, I kept telling people, even if it's not something you're into and you just want to put it in the background, that's fine too.
Okay.
So I was like, what if I just like kept going with that and just became that one gamer who does everything just like other Let's Players, but brands himself as like the background gamer. But there again, what if it got to a point to where the channel actually took off and people genuinely watch the videos, but then I'm still called the background gamer? And I was trying to play with something like Brandon, like B name, so like Brandon the background gamer.
Gotcha.
Or like Brandon in the background, something like that. But, which I guess doesn't necessarily have to be anything gaming related. But I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about. That along all the number of things I was thinking about today. The Section 8 video made me start daydreaming about a cool crossover between Alex Cord from Section 8, Master Chief, and the Doomslayer all kind of just like in one team. And then I was daydreaming about my pitch for a Doom movie, and then other stuff. But
Gotcha.
I don't know how we got into this tangent, but that's just what my days consisted of.
You were talking about how you were watching my channel and that you were a genuine fan, and then you tried to make a joke saying, "Oh, but I'm not sure if it's the other way around." And then I told you how I experience your videos, and then you went on that tangent.
Gotcha. But anyways,
So, Brandon, for the sake of us not really having a general topic today, I did have some stuff written down that I've kind of just, as I usually do, I usually just write stuff down.
Yeah.
Just in case it's notable bringing up. And I figured today was going to be a little bit more laid back, as, you know, viewers, anyone listening could probably tell at this point. So, as usual, I'll kind of go in order. Something that's relatively dated. Some of this is a little dated, but I thought would make for interesting conversation. The first thing I have is, so you remember, if you saw it, maybe 3 weeks ago, there was news about Sadie Sink being in the next Spider-Man movie.
I don't think I've seen that.
You know who I'm referring to, though?
No.
I'm blanking on her character's name in Stranger Things. Red hair.
Oh, Max.
Max, yeah.
Really?
So it was confirmed that she's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, and a bunch of different people, or I would say confirmed with quotation marks, because even though it was all over the internet that she was going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, and people were having conversations about who she's going to play, because she's red, she's got red hair. People are immediately like, "Oh, is she going to be this version of like Mary Jane?"
But
even though that they already have Michelle,
yeah,
unless like it's, I don't know, but or she could be, because of that, she could be Jean Grey.
Oh, like this is their way of introducing some of the X-Men characters?
Yeah, and also because they're probably going to want to go a route of like younger X-Men, at least to start out with. She's kind of around that age where she could be like a Jean Grey that's just now joining the school or something.
Yeah.
But the reason I was saying that the confirmed part is put up in quotations is because in promotion of a new movie that she just came out with that I'm not super familiar with, she was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast with, what's his name, Josh Horowitz. I'm pretty sure, I know I got his last name right. But he had brought up, he tends to do it with actors, but he's like, do you have any interest in playing like being in a Marvel or comic book movie, blah 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 blah. And in this conversation, he kind of brings it up and says like, "Oh, please tell me you're going to be in, the next big Marvel movie or something." And she said maybe it's like a timing thing, maybe it was filmed before the news, whatever, but she said that there wasn't any conversation with Kevin Feige or Marvel about anything like that. So I think until we just see more news or her say it, or Kevin Feige or the new director of the Spider-Man movies say it, I think it's just one of those kind of news things that are like it like slipped through the zeitgeist and got a little out of hand.
I don't know. Like it's so hard to like question who's gonna play who these days, because yeah, she is redhead, obviously, but based on how Marvel has casted people, well, I guess how anything has been casted lately, it wouldn't be too outrageous if she was casted as literally anyone and she just so happens to be the redheaded version of said character. Because, like, even MJ herself is supposed to be a redhead.
Yeah.
She's no longer
and
a redhead.
named Mary Jane.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a million other redheaded characters who are no longer redheads.
Right.
In movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But, speaking of which, there was another example. Me and you were like watching something and there was another example. I can't think of it.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, man.
It
happens every time.
We were watching something the other day and we saw, because we've had that conversation of, we kind of get why people get frustrated about like Disney casting specifically, because it's like every time there's a white character with red hair,
Yeah.
or I guess in more specific terms, a ginger, they get cast, a person of color gets casted.
Yeah.
As that very specific character.
Right. And it's always a redhead.
Right.
Damn near every time.
So, damn, what were we watching?
I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of hard to think about like who could she play, unless Marvel was like, oh yeah, so technically Michelle Jones is in like the Marvel universe, but we want to introduce Mary Jane, then make things really confusing, which I wouldn't put it past them to do.
It's also a new director too, so like it's new to a degree. It's new creative control.
It's really hard to tell. Like I lose track of a lot of the stuff that Marvel decides to do and what not to do. Well, not just Marvel, but anyone really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to, because I used to put in that kind of thought process there. Oh, what if they do this? Or oh, what if this is what's going to happen? When I'm like really excited for something.
Yeah.
But I'm not like as I'm getting older, but just as time moves on with all these disappointing projects.
Mm-hmm.
Like they showed up, or to finish that thought, I have a hard time putting in that kind of energy because I'm just not excited for it anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, like another Spider-Man movie, one is just another Spider-Man movie. Like, there's a shit ton as is.
Yeah.
And for as much of a Spider-Man fan as I am, I have a hard time getting my hopes up because I don't know if I'm going to be disappointed or just like underwhelmed for the next Spider-Man movie. Like the only things are like the Into the Spider-Verse movies. Those are the only ones I actually get excited for.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Anything live action, and it's not like Tom Holland's fault or anything like that. Like I've mentioned it before, I think he had the perfect opportunity to be like the best Spider-Man, but it was simply just the writing direction. I don't know, but I mean, even they released that teaser for Avengers Doomsday
thing,
and everyone's like talking about it. And I was more focused on the fact that there were X-Men characters in that trailer. But like then Robert Downey Jr. was still at the end of that thing. And I don't know what it is, but I was hoping that maybe in between the time it was first announced that he was Doom and now maybe Marvel would have been like, it's not being received that well. Maybe we should do something about that.
No.
I know, but they're like, no, but it's Robert Downey Jr. Like, how do we say no to him? Easy. No. Like that. I don't know. I know they're thinking more about money and they're thinking more about the wrong things. And I'm sure there's still a group of people out there who think it's a good idea, which will fight. But I don't know. I'm not really excited anymore. I still haven't seen the new Captain America movie.
I haven't either.
I want to, because I hear very mixed reviews about that movie. Oh, that's a lie. I am excited for Thunderbolts. That's one I'm actually genuinely excited for.
I wouldn't say I'm excited for Thunderbolts. I would say that I'm looking forward to it, and I'll probably see it in theaters. Maybe. I might see it in theaters. I kind of... So there's all... You kind of got me to the next part that... So that teaser for Avengers Doomsday...
Yeah.
Kind of... It's not like an original thought. There's quite a few people that have brought it up at this point. But have I brought this up already? Maybe I have. Anyways, that the teaser kind of spoils Thunderbolts because we know everyone lives.
Oh, yeah.
Like all of the characters with the exception of Taskmaster, which we pretty much can probably confirm dies in the beginning of Thunderbolts anyways, is in that teaser trailer.
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
So if there's any point where it's like high stakes, whatever, for anyone who's like actually thinking about it or paying attention, is like, well, they're gonna live. They're in the next movie.
It's so unfortunate because, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not. Oh, well, hold on. Let me get this thought through. Thunderbolts, I think, is a great potential. Although I don't want it to be Marvel's knockoff of Suicide Squad.
It is.
Well, technically, it's not. Even Suicide Squad still technically did certain things wrong, like not kill off enough characters.
Well, a majority of them are antagonists from prior movies anyways.
Well, the Thunderbolts, that's always been the thing. Like, that's not what I'm focused on. What I'm more focused on is the fact that you have kind of the potential to, like, narrow down the roster a little bit by, like, giving some characters, like, a very heroic send-off. And maybe even doing it with some characters who are rather annoying or just don't need as much screen time as they've been given as is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could think of a couple characters who I would like to be killed off in Thunderbolts if it were the case, but they're not going to be.
Right.
Which is kind of unfortunate. But, I mean, I've said this to you before. I don't know if I've said it on here, but I've definitely said it off record. But I'm mainly excited for Sentry. I'm a huge Sentry fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly how far they're going to go with this version of Sentry. I mean, there's a trailer that they released not too long ago, maybe like a week ago or something. And it showed him doing stuff as the Void.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of sick. Like, just seeing, like, people didn't, like, get evaporated or anything like that. But, like, he would wave at them. And they would, like, immediately kind of just, like, turn into a shadow.
Right.
I don't know how to explain how they did that visual effect. But it looked really, like... I want to say for how abrupt it is what makes it kind of terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no, like, send-off for when people die. They kind of just into a shadow.
Yeah.
Which is a little scary. And then they even said it, like, in the trailer, saying that he's, like, more powerful than the Avengers rolled up into one, which is technically accurate, but also an understatement, depending on how far they go with this Sentry. So, I don't know. I'm just really excited for that, but I'm also not trying to get my hopes up too much because I tend to get disappointed with a lot of recent Marvel stuff. So
Back to the original point, how would you feel about Sadie Sink playing either Jean Grey or Mary Jane, or is there a specific preference?
Mary Jane, I think would be weird because when I think of Mary Jane, I don't think of someone that young. Because on like, not saying that she's like a kid or anything, but on the side of like comparing her to what Mary Jane is supposed to be, she is young.
Yeah.
So, and like thinking about like a girl who's like trying to become an actress and stuff like that, and married. I mean, technically, you can still work that with someone who's younger, but I don't know. I I think it would be kind of weird. I also don't know what the age gap is between Tom Holland and Sadie Sink.
I have no idea.
So, depending on who you ask, that may or may not be kind of weird.
Yeah.
As Jean Grey, I could kind of see it, but I guess it just depends on how young they're going with some of these X-Men characters.
Right.
Which would also be kind of weird because my brain depicts certain characters a little older. I mean, I could even say the same about Spider-Man. Like, they still made him way too young. Unless you want to talk about the ultimate version of Spider-Man, but I consider 616 not 1610, so I don't know. I would say I'm okay with it. But she's not who I would cast for either one of those characters.
Is there a character you would cast her as?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. But I don't... I would kind of... I might have to think about that.
Okay.
I'm also trying to think of another redheaded Marvel character.
I'm sure there's a few.
I'm sure there is, but the only other redheaded character I could think of was DC, and I'm like, no, that doesn't count. I wouldn't even cast her as that either.
Who?
Barbara Gordon.
No.
Right. But, oh my god, why can't I think of another redheaded character? But it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta think on that one.
So you brought it up a little bit ago, but there's this theory. It's someone...
A game theory.
I don't know where I saw this, but it was interesting enough for me to write it down. There's this theory called like the... it's like the circle theory or something for the Spider-Verse series.
Okay.
There's multiple points in the two movies where you see in some way, shape, or form two circles colliding together. And so, for example, there's a point where in the first movie there's kind of like a flash of when they turn on the what is it, like a particle accelerator or something?
Kinda.
Something along those lines. There's this image of, amongst all the colorful flashes and stuff, you see these two like dark circles like smack into each other, and it makes like an explosion look. And then there's another point in the Across the Spider-Verse. Remember when Miles was kind of following Gwen, and he ends up going invisible, and he's like spying on her while she talks to
Jessica Drew.
Yeah.
So
there's a point where both of their spider senses are, or not spider senses, but there's this weird like aura around each of their heads, and they're in the shape of circles. And and as they get closer to each other, those circles like blend into each other.
Okay.
So there's multiple moments like that. So the theory is that in Beyond the Spider-Verse, the whole show's going to come to a conclusion where I don't have all of the details. It was kind of a lengthy thing, and again, I don't remember where I saw it. But it was essentially that it starts with like Miguel lying about how the multiverse works. Rather, he's lying or he doesn't know.
Okay.
Like Miguel's kind of based the whole like organization and operation he's got going based on a theory he has.
Okay.
And he doesn't actually understand how it's working, or he doesn't know what's coming.
Okay.
And it goes into how Miles traveling across all these universes, he ends up, the theory is that he's going to save it by, or he's going to be able to save his dad, and he's going to be able to make these changes by somehow colliding his universe and Gwen's universe.
Okay.
And so that's kind of, the theory is just that there's like these hints throughout the movies that are hinting that at some point they're going to try to do something where both of their universes collide together. And that's how the story will wrap up. Or that's the big conclusion almost.
Weird. I don't know. Huh. I mean, I maybe I'd have to look more into the theory. But I don't know. I have so many opinions and thoughts about the whole Spider-Verse movies stuff, because I mean, I read the entire Spider-Verse arc, the original one,
right,
way before the movies came out, and they're nothing like the comic book at all. Like,
yeah,
not to the slightest degree.
I don't think it's supposed to be. I think the whole point is just like it's the multiverse and Spider-Man. What are you going to call that?
Yeah,
Spider-Verse,
right? Like, I don't know. There's times when I'm like, oh, you know what? I really like that idea. And then there's other times when I'm a little biased. I'm like, oh, I kind of wish they went in the same direction as the comic book. But I'm still excited for the new one. I wish it was coming out sooner.
Yeah, because we're not supposed to be seeing it until like late 2027, I think.
Oh, that reminds me. While I was watching your channel, the Spawn video, you mentioned in the video that it's coming out in 2025. But it's
that's because
I know,
and I think I mentioned it.
Off.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the video. The very few times we did hear about it from Todd McFarlane, they always said that, you know, it was rather in production, or it was like the production was like right around the corner.
Yeah.
And if that was the case when I had made that video, it would have been out this year.
Dude, I swear we're going to be 40 and then they'll be like, it's official. It's actually coming out next year.
But I think the problem is he's so fixated on him directing it, and he's so fixated on Blumhouse producing it and stuff like that, that they're probably, I don't know, I think they're kind of like sticking themselves in a corner a little bit, because Spawn shouldn't be on a budget. Which, like, if they gave a very talented director and crew a specific budget, someone could do something with it. But Todd McFarlane doesn't know what to do with, you know, $80 million to make a high quality movie.
You know what's a really weird thought that I had today? Because I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how, like, they're falling into all the wrong issues with the Spawn movie, like, for its production.
Right, like he wants an Oscar winning actor to play Spawn.
Right, but like, again, like we've talked about it on the side. You've mentioned it in your channel. We obviously have our personal picks on who should and shouldn't play certain characters. But I thought of this idea, and it kind of solves all the problems, and it's kind of like it's like the greatest half-assed idea I could think of to make the Spawn movie. And it would be a very weird direction in like whatever anyone had in mind. But me personally, I think that as long as a lot of the right things are in the movie, then no matter what this is going to be the perfect Spawn movie. I don't care who you cast as these characters or whatnot, but I know who should make the movie. And as long as that person knows what to put in it.
When you say make, do you mean like a director?
Director, producer, just this visionary.
Okay.
Rob Eggers.
No. I
First
highly
off-
disagree with you. And plus, he would never do it. He's said multiple times at press conferences he would never make a contemporary movie. Maybe if you gave him the Reaper Spawn, or if you gave him a historical one, he said he literally gags at the idea of directing someone holding a smartphone.
Well, depending on if you want to be really specific with it, you could make the Spawn movie take place in like the early 2000s.
That's still semi-contemporary. He essentially wants to stick strictly to historical fiction and possibly, he said, sci-fi if he can come up with the right idea.
Gotcha.
He doesn't want to do...
And
plus, he
I
doesn't
didn't
seem to be...
I didn't really have a whole pitch, but I kind of had like certain key things, but I don't really think there's a point in going any further with that.
Plus, I could see what you mean by like, oh, it would be a really dark and not holding back kind of Spawn movie. But just based on his I don't know, he's got a particular style to him that I think he would end up implementing things to the movie that you'd probably end up getting disappointed with. Because he doesn't, the closest thing to like a high stakes, not even high stakes, like an action movie he's ever done is The Northman. And that's not really an action movie. It was definitely promoted as an action movie.
Well, I was thinking of it less of an action movie. I was kind of thinking more along the lines of Todd McFarlane when he was like pitching everyone the idea of it being a horror movie.
See, even though he was pitching it as a horror movie, I don't even think he knows how to do a horror movie. I think what he thinks a horror movie would be, because again, you got to remember, he wants to direct this movie.
Yeah.
I think if he ended up doing it, it would end up being like a 2000s horror action schlock. Like he originally wanted Jeremy Renner to play Twitch, and he's just a lot of his. He doesn't know. I'm sorry. Like he's a great comic book writer and artist. He's done a lot for the comic book and the nerd community. He's made some of the greatest comic book characters ever. I do not think he's ready to direct a movie, a feature-length film.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the music video he did for Ozzy Osbourne.
I've never actually watched it.
I wouldn't even say it's a good music video, let alone for a rock and roll artist now.
Yeah.
I hate to be so Debbie Downer about it, but it's just one of those things. It's like, it's a character I like, it's one, and you like.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. It's like, it's another story of people who think they're making the right decisions, but they're not. And Todd McFarlane, of all people, being that person.
Yeah.
It's annoying and it's disappointing. Yeah. I didn't mean to take that over, but
It's okay.
Speaking of bad directors,
Okay.
Borderlands.
The movie?
Yeah. So I blank on the guy's name. The director of the Borderlands movie.
Yeah.
He blamed Zoom and COVID for the movie flopping.
What? How? It wasn't even like during that time.
But regardless if that was the case, if COVID or Zoom had a factor in it in any way, you know how many movies were made through COVID that were great and were huge successes?
Yeah.
And how many movies were made consulting over Zoom? Nosferatu being one of them. They did all the auditions over Zoom. I mean, The Batman was made throughout COVID and was even pushed back multiple times, and they stopped filming in between because Robert Pattinson got COVID.
Yeah.
It's no excuse. And I don't know. I saw that article and I read through it, and
that sounds familiar. I feel like there was another movie where the director blamed.
it happens all the time.
Yeah,
movies
they like they don't want to be humiliated, or they don't want to take the blame, so they throw it out onto something that realistically makes no sense.
right. Or that they think you can't argue with.
Yeah,
But we can. Sorry, dude. Borderlands was. I don't know. It was a bad movie.
I would have loved to be the person who was like interviewing him while he said that, and just name instead without any context, just name off movies that were successes that were made during COVID.
Yeah.
That would have been the funniest thing. And then him rather one be really confused, and then you have to explain it to him afterwards, or him just getting really upset because he knows that he can't win this argument.
I mean, this is probably a little bit of a sensitive comparison, but just on the note of people who overcame intense circumstances and still got the product done. The new Stalker, Stalker 2, why am I blanking on what the rest of that game's called?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyways,
Stalker 2.
Made by a team in the Ukraine when the incident that's still happening right now was going on. Their home was being invaded.
Didn't even think about that.
And they finished a game.
A very successful game.
A very successful game that launched and finished, polished, is still being updated. And that's more expensive than the movie he made.
That's crazy.
And he's still, it just frustrates me that, he would say something. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look this up. Borderland. Who made this godforsaken movie? His name is Eli. Oh my God. Eli Roth directed this movie. Yeah, that makes sense.
What?
No, he's never made anything good. He's known for making these, I think the only thing he's been in, he acted in Inglourious Basterds, which is good, but he directed the Thanksgiving horror movie Knock Knock. He's just got so many. Yeah.
He directed The Clown?
I don't know. I saw that too. I'm not sure if he directed it. Let's look. No.
Oh. That's good.
He probably produced it or something. No, that was directed by John Watts. But anyways, I saw that and I got frustrated thinking that he had the balls to say that.
Horse.
I don't know why my brain just went on this little train of thought because the little robot played by Jack Black Minecraft movie.
I actually wanted to make a quick statement about that as well.
Apparently, it's the biggest, the highest grossing video game movie Like, it even surpassed the Mario movie.
Which is nuts.
And
because I actually liked the Mario movie.
So here's the thing.
Surprisingly enough, I thought I was going to hate it.
There's so many podcasts I've been listening to within, the past few days. And all of them say the same thing. It's not like amazing. It's not great. But they like it more than the Mario movie. Because when it's trying to be fun and like playful and stupid, it's allegedly really good. But when it's trying to be serious and heartfelt is when it gets really stupid. Like, they cringe. Like, for example, Sad Boys. They were saying that, like, when Jack Black's being Jack Black and they're playing into the jokes land really well. But as soon as, like, the quote-unquote sister gets, like, sentimental and it's not really built or based on anything that's, like, worked on throughout the movie, it made them physically cringe. And it's been, like, similar sentiment across the board. I'm just shocked. I mean, there's also other things, like it's another movie where people are being rambunctious in the theaters and causing all kinds of ruckus. Sure, it's not singing this time around, but it's people like over the top screaming and throwing their popcorn and being rowdy. There's even footage of like two guys, like one guy sitting on another dude's shoulder, like the quote unquote chicken jockey, just for shits and giggles.
Which is fucking insane. I love the movie theater experience.
Yeah.
And sure, like, no matter what era of movie theater experience you're referring to, there's probably always that one thing that people are like, oh, I love the movies, but this is the one thing I don't like. And it's probably changed throughout the years. But for the most part, it's like that select few people who go there and they don't have common courtesy for the other people who are there.
Yeah.
Which, to a degree, can be, like, managed. Like, you could have one person who may be talking a little too loud and you're like, shh, shut up. Like, that's it. Or, like, maybe someone turns on their phone, which is dumb, but, like, you could be like, hey, can you, like, turn off your phone?
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets to the point where people are starting to, like, go crackhead crazy in these theaters where, like, and because I watched Papa Meat's video when he covered the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was just putting myself in that scenario. Like, what if I took Casey and the boys to go see the Minecraft? Like, obviously, hypothetically, they're an age where they can go to the movies.
Right.
But, like, what if we're watching a movie that's for them? Like, I don't really care about this movie, but, like, the boys do. And it's like, I paid money for this.
Yeah.
And then teenagers just start screaming and throwing food and all this stuff. I don't know how I'd react. Because, like, I wouldn't want to leave because, like, I paid money for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to leave because they're being rude. But, like, no one seems to be doing anything about these kids. Like, every now and then, sure, it seems like people pause the movie or whatnot. And, like, cops come in. But, like, this should be situated from the beginning. Like, after this whole trend started, which, by the way, is another reason why I hate social media now, is because now it's affecting people outside of social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, that could be said always, but, like, the whole movie theater thing, like, it's a trend, so everyone wants to do it.
Right.
Which is dumb. But, like, after that started, shouldn't you be planting security in theaters now just to prevent stupid shit like this?
Mm-hmm.
It genuinely infuriates me. It's one thing, like, some people compared it to, like in comic book movies, for example, where something really epic happens and people stand up and shout. I don't think that's the same. Like, let's say you're a genuine fan of Marvel, and, like, you read the comic books, or hell, even if you don't read the comics, but you're a huge fan of the movies, and, like, you understand how significant certain things are.
Yeah.
And Captain America catches Mjolnir. And, like, uses it. That's epic. That's like such like a significant thing for fans. That's worth standing up and shouting at.
And that's also something that like everyone in the audience has built up towards.
Right. And like, or like when Wonder Woman came down for the first time in BVS.
Right.
That's epic. But it's also so significant. Like, it's Wonder Woman. She's like a very important and popular female superhero. Like, she there's something a little bit more special about Wonder Woman than characters like Mystique or Jean Grey.
Yeah.
And what have you. So yeah, it's worth standing up and shouting at.
Right.
Because everyone can collectively agree that Wonder Woman is badass and she deserves that applause.
Right.
Same thing for the like a lot of comic book moments in movies. But things like trends of people doing things that are unnecessary, that are ruining the experience for other people, that is where I draw the line and don't know what to do about it, because I don't want to risk going to a movie theater one day thinking, oh, I'm here to watch this movie, not knowing that there's a movie theater trend going around about said movie, and now I can't enjoy it because someone's doing something. And I don't even know what movies there are. I didn't even know people were doing this thing with Minecraft until I watched that Pop and Meat video.
I think the worst part is too, kind of going on the point that you made about it being a trend, is the things that they're screaming about. Like sometimes, there's actual footage of people screaming to Jack Black's character Steve saying "chicken jockey," but that's not that. There's nothing insignificant about that.
Right.
First off, the chicken jockey, for anyone who doesn't know and is familiar with Minecraft, the chicken jockey is like a rare spawn. It's a baby zombie or a child zombie in the game that spawns in riding a chicken. But it's like it's a rare thing. It doesn't always happen. You don't always see it.
Right.
And it's something that they threw in the movie purely as like a nod, just for Minecraft fans. Sure, I can get that. But the audience screams when Jack Black's character says, "Chicken jockey." That's when they go nuts. Why? Because the trailers made that, seem exciting or significant? Like, that's what they're basing it off of. They're basing it off of the fact that he says that in the trailer, makes for an interesting moment, so that when it builds up to the movie, when that happens, that's when they get excited. Because of what?
I genuinely don't know. I mean, there's a lot I don't understand about not only humans, because humans, sorry if you're offended by this, are dumb. Especially
I'm offended. I'm offended.
I don't care.
Brandon, I'm offended.
Sucks to suck.
Rub my feet.
Humans are dumb. Did you say rub your feet?
Rub my feet.
But even like the Minecraft movie itself, I still don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong, I was a little questionable when Mario got a movie, because I was like, why and how? And then same thing goes for Garfield. I still haven't seen Garfield. I've heard.
I forgot Garfield even existed.
Right. Apparently, it was a very forgettable movie. But like Minecraft, I don't want to speak for the creator, because I haven't seen anything about this or any kind of reaction or what have you. But me personally, and I'm not a huge Minecraft fan to begin with, so realistically I shouldn't have a say. But from the very brief moments that I have played Minecraft in my life with like other people, I don't know about you, but the vibe I get from playing Minecraft is something that I think could be therapeutic for people.
Okay.
It's very relaxing. It's calm. Like, aside from the times when you actually do have to fight creatures and whatnot, a lot of the times it's just you like gathering resources, building. That's it. And there's even like calm music in the background. Like, I feel like it's just like a very therapeutic thing for people.
Yeah.
How did that translate to this movie.
So like an exciting family action
right, like
movie.
I don't know about you, but if I was like I don't know if Minecraft was like an individual creator or how that story went, but like if I was the creator of Minecraft and I saw this movie, I would hate it. I would be a little disappointed because they didn't even go to the extent of like just making 3D characters. Like making characters who are more like truthful to the Minecraft characters, who are blocks, by the way.
Right.
But like Steve is Jack Black. Okay, random. And then you have a bunch of other random humans, like Jason Momoa, who's dressed like a Barbie, and all these other characters who are just random. If you ask me, they were just like, hey, we want to make a Minecraft movie. We have the budget to make a Minecraft movie. What the hell are we going to do in order to make a Minecraft movie? And they're like, oh, well, Jack Black's getting popular again. Maybe we should throw him into the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who else is popular? Jason Momoa. Okay, cool. Do we know any other popular people? Not really. Maybe we should just throw a bunch of non-recognizable actors who need some screen time, and we'll just throw them in there. What's the plot? No clue.
Yeah. And even back to the point that you made about it being translated into like a high stakes adventure movie thing.
Yeah.
So typically with video game adaptations, kind of, I mean, we've talked about it before, but there's something about adaptations. It's like you have to understand the source material, and you have to be able to tell the same story but bring it to a new audience.
Yeah.
The thing is about Minecraft is if there's someone who doesn't know anything about Minecraft, or maybe they know it exists but they don't even know what the gameplay looks like or whatever, what happens if they really enjoy the movie and it makes them want to play Minecraft, and then they go to play Minecraft and kind of like what you're saying, they're bored because it's not what the experience that they were getting from the movie.
Right.
Or they're finding out, oh, it's just like a survival game where you have to mine stuff, build stuff, and then go mine more stuff and build more stuff.
Right. And which is another thing that like really irritates me about adaptations, is because I personally think that for adaptations, whether it's like from games to movies or comics to games or whatever.
Yeah.
It has to I think it should represent the original source material properly. And which is another reason why I'm an advocate for making things 100, like if not 100%, close to 100% accurate to the source material. Because when you introduce new people to it, they're understanding why it was readapted in the first place.
Yeah.
Because like Halo didn't just get a show because someone was like, oh, I want to make a show. But on what? Halo. No, because Halo is popular.
Yeah.
Halo is loved.
It's like one of the most famous game franchises.
One of the most requested things to get a live action adaptation.
Right.
One of the highest things of all time. Mm-hmm. That's why it gets like that kind of attention, and why it got the permission to get an adaptation into live action. And it was ruined. But it doesn't make any sense, because the whole reason is to bring not only the original fans into this media, but a new era of fans into this media, and so that they could potentially go to the original media and see why it's so good.
Yeah.
And why it was so requested. First off, for people who might have really liked the Halo show, first off, you are not a Halo fan. There's no way in hell you're a Halo fan.
Well, you're a Halo TV show fan.
But that's not...
But you're right. They're not going to end up being a fan, or they're just not going to understand what the game is because of how different it is.
Right. But like you said with Minecraft, like, first off, I don't think Minecraft is something that should have gotten a movie in the first place.
I agree.
I'm not saying that because I don't like Minecraft. I'm saying that because knowing what I know about Minecraft, I don't think it really has the potential to be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there was a version of Minecraft where it had like a story and like a campaign and stuff, but that's still dramatically different from what we got as a live action movie.
Yeah.
So, but there's still so many other things that do deserve a readaptation. I mean, another perfect example is like just recently the Devil May Cry anime came out.
Right.
Which me and you have our like opinions about the show, but that's not what I'm focusing on. It's more about other people who haven't played the games and they're coming into it and possibly being like, oh, this is based off of a video game? Well, I play video games. Maybe I want to go try out the original one.
Yeah.
And sure, there is debate because of the new show whether or not people may or may not actually like the original version of Devil May Cry. Because some people might have an open heart and be like, oh, well, it is different, but it has all the same things that I like from the show, so I like it. Maybe some people want it to be more like the show, whatever. But to a degree, and I think you can agree with this, and if you don't, then that's a different conversation. But Devil May Cry, the anime, both versions of the anime, technically. Well, actually, the original one I don't count because it's just main canon. Like it's a sequel to one game and a prequel to another game.
Right.
But like this new anime is a very good representation of what people should get from an adaptation compared to the Minecraft movie.
Right.
Because it has all of the elements that fans like from the games.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of the same like vibes and energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go back as a new fan to go experience the original game, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But if you're a new Minecraft fan watching this movie and then you go into the original one, like you said, you're going to be bored. You're going to be disappointed because it's boring as all hell.
Yeah.
Again, it's more of something that could be therapeutic. And I think that's why it boomed. I think a lot of people ignored the fact that it was such a therapeutic type game, and they kind of blew it up to something I don't think it should have been. But
well, there's also like YouTubers at the time that turned it into something bigger.
Right, and it got certain attention, sure, but again, I don't think that was translated properly, even to what it became to a movie.
Right.
Like, the movie is just another cash grab that was made for all the wrong reasons, which is, it's something that's making me hate a lot of stuff about media these days, because it's starting to fall further from what is supposed to be the heart of movie making and all forms of media making.
Yeah.
It's now just becoming cash grab after cash grab. What's good for business? What's going to make us money? And less about like, what do we actually like?
I think that's why people are starting to finally, so many people are drawn to like A24 and indie projects and stuff like that, because they're telling new stories and they're finally trying different things that big companies can't afford to risk and stuff. I mean, the closest thing to an adaptation that has kind of been in and out of conversation, if you keep up with A24, is they're doing their own version of Death Stranding.
Okay.
And yeah, that is a pre-existing IP, but if for anyone who's played Death Stranding all the way through could understand that if anyone were to do a risk-taking live-action version of Death Stranding, it would be A24.
That's fair.
Because they've got all of the people, the writers, they've got the connections of that kind of world to tell this eerie, creepy, crazy, weird sci-fi universe that is Death Stranding.
Right.
But again, whoever ends up being on board probably understands the source material. I think Hideo Kojima is even going to be involved in it somehow. But it doesn't feel, at least to me, it doesn't feel like a cash grab, because A24's focus is bringing movies back, like bringing like an original flair back to movies.
Yeah.
And kind of doing their own thing to kickstart the next generation of movie making.
I mean,
and it just doesn't feel like corporate greed crap.
That's fair. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for. Personally, I like the idea of readapting certain media from one thing to another.
Yeah.
But as long as it's, one, done for the right reason, and two, it's done. I mean, when I say properly, that could be subjective, because everyone might have their idea of what's done properly for a readaptation.
Right.
But it's like, as long as it feels and like it does all the things that it's supposed to do, like from the original material, that's all I really care about. Like, I kind of mentioned it in the beginning of this video. I won't get into it or anything, but like, I have my own personal idea for what a Doom movie would be like.
Okay.
And we've talked about it, obviously, but I personally believe, and sure, call me biased, whatever, I've done a lot of research into the Doom universe. I'm a huge Doom fan. Both old, new, that weird in between. I love Doom.
Okay.
I like the Doom 3 game more than the Doom movie. But there is still something that I can appreciate about the Doom movie. But it's more of just something fun than anything else. But we're going to ignore that stupid Doom TV show that they had, or whatever that movie was, or I don't know, that Netflix thing.
Oh, Doom Extinction or something like that?
But I watched a breakdown of that movie, and it has nothing to do with anything Doom related at all. Like, at all.
Well, it's a science facility on
the
moon, and they open up a gate to hell. But that's it.
Kind of. Like, some of it is still subjective. Like, is that what it really is, or what have you? But it's dumb. Anyways, not important. But I personally believe that if I was given the funding and the resources to make a Doom movie, I personally think I know how it can be done that not only entertains new fans, but satisfies current fans. And sure, there will be like some tweaks here and there, but that's just for the sake of it being like a movie.
Well, yeah, that's how it has to work.
But I would still also really emphasize, I would also focus on the things that aren't common in movies, like the lack of dialogue.
Okay.
There would be very little dialogue throughout the whole movie. Only a select few characters would actually talk. So a lot of the movie would be based on body language, atmosphere, what have you. Which I think is still very, like, close to the games.
Yeah.
And the people who do talk are the people who have to talk. But anyways, but that's what I think all adaptations should be. That's what the Halo show should have been. I bring up the Halo show all the time, but like, it's the perfect example of what not to do.
Right.
I mean, hell, even you've told me ideas that you've had of making certain games or what have you into movies. And I mean, not being biased because I'm your brother, but I trust that you, being a fan of the things that you're talking about,
right,
actually have like an idea of like, this is how it should be done. And again, like, if you're in that moment when you're making the movie and you're watching it over and over again because you have to make sure it's right, if you see something that you're like, The new fans might like that, but I don't think the original fans would like that.
Yeah.
Scrap it and do it again.
Right.
That's what's important.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference is that the movie ideas I always talk about, with the exception of one of them, they would be even more risky because they're not adaptations of any current stories.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like I've always had an idea for a Halo movie, but it's not a 1-to-1 adaptation of anything. It's a story that would be a new story that takes place in between, like, one game and one book or something. So it could bring in a bunch of new Halo fans, but if they win, but it would really, like, really, you see, that's the thing. It would be for 3 different audiences. It would be one for original Halo fans, because it's like, it's Halo.
Right.
It's got everything they like. Yeah, there would probably be a couple fan servicey lines in there or something like that. It would be for new fans because it's like, well, it's this crazy action, military, sci-fi, space opera thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third audience is for the die-hard, like, lore trencher kind of Halo fans.
Yeah.
That know, like, every nook and cranny, because they'd be like, whoa, this takes place at this date, like, right here after this event with these characters, and oh, that's a reference to this, and blah, 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 blah.
This scene is currently happening during what happened during this book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But see, that's the thing, is because, like, even though you're not making like a 1-to-1,
Mm-hmm.
which is completely okay, as long as it has everything that a Halo fan,
And it can exist in that world.
right, like, it has everything that a Halo movie needs.
Right.
And sure, it might not all be what some fans want, because some fans just want, like, nonstop Master Chief or Halo references left to right. But that doesn't always mean that it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, you still want to bring something that's a little new, something that isn't just going to be something that people are like, oh, well, I've seen this already. Like, I already know what happens. But as long as the movie feels like Halo, that's all that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Halo show had Master Chief, Cortana, the Covenant, all this stuff, but not one moment felt like Halo.
Right.
Not one.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for the moment where it felt like Halo. And
Well, they ruined that in the first episode when he took his helmet off.
Immediately, I was even going to let it slide if that was the only time.
Yeah.
I would have been completely okay with it if they did this. If they did one of two things. One, if they did it to where it happened the same way, but they just showed the back of his neck, that would have been completely fine.
Right.
Or if they made it to where they showed it, because, like, everyone already knows who's playing Master Chief at this point. If they just did, like, oh, he did it for this reason, that's it. No more Master Chief face. We're done.
That would all
from here on out.
That would also imply, though, that the story would have to go in a very different way, because based on what I've seen, the story fixates so much on things that involve him being out of his armor
Yeah.
that it would ruin it. Like, granted, the books have many moments where Master Chief's out of his armor, but it's purely left to the imagination of the reader, and it doesn't break the law of any of the games, because when you're looking at Master Chief, you never see him.
Well, that's not entirely true. At least for me, from what I've, because I listen to the books on, like, Spotify and stuff. But aside from when he was a kid, every single time he's been out of his uniform or his suit,
Mm-hmm.
they explain exactly what he's wearing. But it's always the exact same two things. It's rather, one, he's wearing like a de-armored version of the Spartan suit. You know more about that stuff than I do.
Okay.
Or he's wearing his... I don't know what to call them because I have Air Force brain, so I call them blues.
They're essentially that. Yeah.
Right, but like the
It's
fancy,
what's got all of his like medals and stuff.
right.
Yeah.
That.
I mean, the first book, Fall of Reach, has a pretty hefty sequence where he's, he's being called upon
Right.
higher ups and like commanders and stuff, and he gets approached by another soldier. He's like, "What do you have to do to join the
Yeah, he's
Spartan
like,
program?"
if there's any openings, can
Yeah.
I join?
Master Chief's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I was like born this way,"
Yeah.
to his knowledge, anyway. But
Right.
anyways, yeah, that's a conversation we could go on and on about. But speaking of Halo, I'm gonna twist this a little bit.
I already know where you're going.
So we were originally today's episode was originally going to be games that were like our most anticipated games for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And
You could probably guess what mine is.
you said Doom,
Yeah.
the Dark Ages, which is like literally right around the corner.
I
I think it's like weeks away.
I'm so excited.
But I'd say there's probably a handful of games that I'm really looking forward to, but just based on recent announcements, something that got back into my head that I'm like ridiculously excited for. And I haven't been that's not entirely true. I was going to say I haven't been this excited for a game in a while. But there's a specific type of excitement that I have for this game that feels a little nostalgic almost, but it's Marathon. The reason I'm like super excited for Marathon is because one, it's a Bungie game, and Bungie's responsible for making my childhood an amazing childhood. But Marathon, it's like, how do I say this? So not only is Marathon like as an IP reaching back down to the roots of Bungie, but it's pretty much what started everything.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people are like, "Oh, there's Halo references in Marathon or whatever." It's like, no, there's Marathon references in Halo. Like Marathon's where it started, like where Bungie became Bungie.
Right.
And so essentially there was like not only an 8-minute like short that I thought was awesome, that takes place in the world of Marathon, and there was like a gameplay trailer, there was an overview, they were showing off all of these play testers that are all like content creators that went in, they got to play the game. But there's one of those content creators that I watch plentiful of because he does like Halo lore stuff. Hidden Xperia. I listened because I didn't actually watch. I was listening to it at work today. But he's allegedly been playing this game for like 3 years.
Wow.
So essentially, as soon as there was like a playable version of the game, Bungie invited him to play it.
Wow.
And he said the first time he played it, it was like terrible. He was like, it was not playable. It was not good. And same could be said for a few other people that had played it at the time. They gave him a bunch of feedback. And when they went back again later to play it, all of the feedback had been taken in, and it was like a brand new, crazy good game.
Yeah.
From what we know, it's an extraction shooter.
Can you explain to me what that means?
An extraction shooter?
Yeah.
So some extraction shooter games do it slightly different depending on like the developer or whatever, but in broad terms, they throw you, and if it's a multiplayer game, like some friends of yours, into a giant map. And in this map, you have like a mission and sometimes like side objectives, and sometimes there's raids. But essentially, there's like an objective. You have to go in and solve this thing or extract this thing, like loot, whether it's an item, treasure, whatever it is, and exfiltrate it without dying.
Okay.
And that's like a successful thing. If you go in with gear, whether you just picked it up or it's gear that you've accumulated from other stuff, if you go in and you die, you lose it all. And you have to start from scratch.
Okay.
So it's essentially like a military ops thing. It's like you're given an objective, they throw you in a map, you go to do that thing, and it can be against NPCs or like, you know, enemies within the game, or sometimes it's against other players. They'll throw opposing teams like on the other side of the map, and they're doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what an extraction shooter is.
Gotcha.
So this game, from what Hidden Xperia and the other playtesters have said, it's confirmed it is a sequel. Not like a sequel, but it's in canon of the original Marathon games. It's not a reboot.
Interesting.
It's not like a requel. It's a follow-up to the old games.
Because if you look at the old games, they look like they have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, but it's also just kind of like a development of times and style and stuff.
It's kind of like what they did with Lords of the Fallen. They're like, it is a direct sequel of the original.
It's not like a direct sequel. It's like hundreds of years apart from each other.
Yeah, it takes place 1,000 years after the first game, but it is a sequel. It is in canon.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But, because even if you look at the original Marathon, like lead character or like some of those artworks, there's the main character always wears like this big bubbly visor, and that was nodded to in Halo. The security suit has that big bubble visor, which is a nod to Marathon. There's a symbol in Halo that's the sign for Guilty Spark.
Yeah.
It's like that little ring with the little circle inside. Take that circle out, it's the Marathon logo.
Yeah.
And then if you take that ring away, it's the Destiny logo.
Yeah.
And so the tank in the new game is essentially the new version of like a security guard from the original Marathon.
Right.
So they've got that same kind of visor. But anyways, so it is canon. It is like part of the original mythos or whatever. And a lot of people were talking, even I had said it because it's kind of what it felt like. But a lot of people have said, oh, it doesn't really mean much because Bungie's not the same Bungie as it used to be. That's not entirely true. All of the leads to all the different departments of this game are people who've been working on Bungie games since Halo. So the same person who's responsible for the aesthetics of Halo alone is the same person who's the creative like lead of like design and art for Marathon.
Right.
The same person who designed the level of the Warthog run in Halo 3 is the same person who's doing level design in this game. So there's a lot of people from Bungie who've been there for a long time. Even one of the lead writers who's the person who's responsible for creating the headhunters in Halo.
Yeah.
Is one of the lead writers for this game.
If I'm right, it's actually kind of swapped because everything that like when it comes to the creative side and like the creative team, a lot of it from original Halo is in Marathon.
Well, right.
But what is currently Halo is almost nothing comprised of what was originally in the Halo team.
Well, yeah, because that's a new studio.
Right. But that's just the irony behind all of it, because everyone is saying like, oh, it's not the same team or whatever. It's like not the same Bungie. Well, actually, it is. Everything's the same. But you people who are like a little too biased with Halo and whatnot, your games are actually the ones that are changing.
I mean, hell, in a really weird, abstract way, this game's more Halo than Halo is.
Yeah.
Because this, from what I've heard, it's more speculation, but Destiny was originally built on the same engine as Halo Reach.
I do remember that, yeah.
So what's to say that this game's not Destiny stripped back in that same engine to make this game? It's Bungie's engine,
Yeah.
the Halo engine. So this game is made off of the blueprints of Halo.
Yeah.
And it shows. I mean, Bungie's got like the same things that they throw in a lot of their games. One of the things, I don't know if you remember watching like the gameplay trailer, but the tank has this ability where he throws up a shield and he like dashes at people, just like in Destiny and just like in Halo. When you grab a minigun, it goes in third person.
Yeah.
And it's just got a look that like only Bungie could do.
There was something about the gameplay when I was watching like the 15-minute thing of like all the content creators playing the game, where some of the movements and sound effects to like the characters doing certain things when it came to like charging their shields or reloading the weapons.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you close your eyes, it kind of sounds like you're playing Halo Infinite. Like,
yeah.
I know Halo Infinite wasn't Bungie, but like, it's still like thinking about like the most modern Halo. There's something about like the game that I need to play it to confirm, but it looks like it might feel like a Halo game.
Right. The one thing that I didn't really think about until like Hidden Experience, some other people have pointed out, is Destiny is a free-to-play game. But they make their money in expansions and microtransactions.
Right.
This game is not a full price game, but it's going to be launched at $40.
Okay.
So that's got some people, including some of the people who play tested, a little skeptical because one, there seems to be signs of very little customization.
Okay.
Meaning, if there is any customization, and from what they know, it's probably going to be skins, is that going to be microtransactions? And two, no, that's mainly my point. I don't want I don't know, like they have to make their money back.
Right.
I think them charging for the game should already be a pretty big step to begin with because like I said, Destiny's free to play.
Yeah.
So, at least the base version of Destiny. So it's like I just hope one that they keep doing what they know how to do and they allow you to customize your character. At least the pulled back version before you get gear that you extract from missions and stuff.
Right.
And if there's any microtransactions, I hope it's a similar thing that like the Suicide Squad game was trying to do, where it's an option, but it's one not thrown in your face and you don't have to have it. Like it's not a pay to play kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of hope, kind of like Assassin's Creed, for example. Assassin's Creed has it where like you buy the game and it gives you this option if you really want to go out of your way and get these certain things faster. You could spend a little bit of money to get this currency, which you could spend, but it's not even like it's barely advertised.
Yeah, like I never really know it's there unless I kind of like go to the Animus like Helix stuff or whatever.
Right, like you go to the Ubisoft store and it's all there. That's fine because again, it's an option, but it's not mandatory. Like it's purely just, is it something you're willing to do? We're not forcing you to do shit. So if you give us money, that's on you. But I don't know, because I don't know what like customization is going to be like in this game. But I would see why it would be kind of difficult to have a game like this to where you want it to be its own thing, but without throwing in certain tropes that make it feel like just another. I know it's not a battle royale game,
Right.
but throwing in things that make it feel like just another one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could already see some people comparing, like, depending on what they decide to do with, like, microtransactions or what have you, I could easily see them comparing it to, like, Apex
Right.
or certain things like that. I personally think, and it's what I think should be done with all games, just because I'm not a huge multiplayer person. I don't really care for it. Purchase whatever you need to purchase to get the game, and then just use the customization that the game builds in the game.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like work hard, earn certain things. It gives you a reason to keep playing the game. I don't know. That's about it.
Some things that I am excited for, though, is it seems like I'm going to go back and forth between things I'm excited about and things that I'm not so excited about.
Right.
One of the things I'm excited about is like lore stuff. Bungie's really good at making really in-depth, almost cryptid like lore where it's really in the like read in between the lines kind of details and
Right.
stuff. It's never they never exposition dump. It's never thrown in your face. It's like if you like they'll give you a great story, but if you really really want to know what's going on, you have to go find it yourself.
Right.
And this game doesn't. So a thing I don't like is it doesn't have a single player like campaign like Bungie games typically do.
Yeah.
Destiny kind of has one in the form of like you going from planet to planet and doing particular ops,
Yeah.
but it's nothing to the degree of like a Halo campaign.
Right.
This one is purely just it's the extraction game all the time. But in between you doing different ops and side ops and puzzles and different kinds of things, you learn about the world. You can go to these terminals that are one-for-one terminals from the original Marathon games that people are really excited about, that you can like interact with and use their interface and whatnot. And you can learn about like the map, and you can learn about like what's happening there and how the people got there or why it's desolate and all that kind of stuff, and how this world compares and is related to the world of Marathon in the games 30 years ago.
Right.
So it's stuff like that I'm really excited for. Something that I'm not super fond of is, I remember telling you this the other day, when the game was first announced, like 2 years ago, they were talking about essentially a lot of these same things, but your character was like completely your own. You could do a bunch of customization, build them the way that you wanted to, and so on and so forth. But leadership ended up being changed, and since then, it almost became a hero shooter, where just like Overwatch and games like Marvel Rivals, it was a set character with a set amount of weapons and abilities, and that was it. And maybe skins.
Yeah.
But from early playtests, it was like, it already feels like a hero shooter. Don't do that. And they changed it. So now there's classes, which I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, the current gameplay overviews and stuff make it look like there's only a couple, like in Destiny. Destiny has like the Hunter, Warlock, and Titan.
Yeah.
But this game, even though they only showcased a couple, allegedly, when the game launches and you get it day one, it'll have 6 different classes for you to choose from.
Wow.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to customize like their weapon types and how their weapons work. And they were talking about how like simple mods can overhaul a weapon completely. So there's a gun in this game that's also called the Magnum, similar to Halo.
Right.
And there's like a gold mod or something like that, and it extends the magazine, changes the range, and puts a scope on it, and it makes it a pocket sniper.
Wow.
All from one mod. And so it's things like that of where customization and playing the way that you want to play comes back into the fray a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Something I was not even thinking about at all until someone else pointed it out is because it doesn't have a single player campaign and not everyone has two other people to play with. So there is the option to go in by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it means that like 9 times out of 10, if there are other players, they're going to be in groups of 3.
Yeah.
That you're going against. And a lot of these people that are playing are people who've played Halo or have played Destiny. These are people who are really good at these games.
Yeah.
And if there's any kind of rank system, that might help on who it throws you into the game with. But if there's not, or if there's a weak kind of rank or progressive system, that means it might throw a new person or just someone who decided they wanted to play alone that day against 3 like elite players.
Yeah.
On top of all of the NPCs that you have to fight and stuff like that.
Right.
I was even watching gameplay and there's like purple enemies, or they were calling them purple enemies, which they're the same kind of like droids or whatever, but they like glow purple and their health bars are way bigger and they're like bigger threats that you have to deal with.
Right.
So it's like it won't be fun at that point.
Yeah.
So it's things like that I'm a little worried about. And I was even thinking about finding like 1 or 2, because I've actually never played an extraction shooter before. So I was thinking about maybe getting a couple different ones and like trying them out for maybe like a month, just to like get a feel for like what it's like to play different types of extraction shooters.
Yeah.
But I think if Bungie keeps doing what they're doing and they are listening to people who are playtesting it, and if they're listening to hopefully the fans, I think there's potential, and they're at a spot where there's still room for improvement. So hopefully by the time September rolls around this year, by the way, I'm so excited. There's potential for it to at least launch at a really good spot.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's room for improvement from there going forward.
Right.
But I think as long as they can launch at a good pace and the game's at a good, state at that point, I think Marathon could have a good lifespan. Because it's also got like a crazy unique style, and the universe that it's living in is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll draw in a lot of old and new players.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll have 2 other people to play with because it looks fun.
I'm curious enough to try it out. I don't want to say that I'm as excited as you are for it.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly just because, not because I have a problem with anything with the game. It's more of just something that's like not my cup of tea. I personally prefer linear campaign driven games.
Yeah.
It's harder for me to get excited about multiplayer games. It would have to depend on the game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, sure, there are some games that have like a multiplayer setting, but I still aim towards the story part of it.
Right.
Like I got more excited for Titanfall 2 than Titanfall 1 because it was campaign.
Yeah.
I still think that if they want to make a successful version of Anthem, they should do exactly what Titanfall did and just make a similar game, but like with a real campaign.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and that's why I'm personally excited for Doom. I'm just a huge Doom nerd. Like, I'm probably on the scale of like obsessed with Doom as you are with Halo. So like when they obviously announced the new game, I nearly wet myself. I have so many questions about the game. Like I already know what it is. when it takes place. A lot of people seem to be confused, but they're just not like major Doom fans, so they don't get it.
But it's also going to play very different because they've said this time around that you're not going to be moving around as fast.
Right.
Like you're going to be playing as like a tank.
Right.
And that's why they give you the shield, because you're going to have to block and deflect stuff so often.
Right. Like there's a lot of things that he doesn't have that he did in the 2016 one because it's a prequel. But I still have lots of questions. Like there are certain things that you pointed out that I didn't even notice until I rewatched it. But I noticed that like he has like these white eyes that show through the visor,
Right.
which I'm very curious about. Like me understanding the lore and everything, I wonder if there's a specific reason why they did that, or if they just kind of wanted to toss in like a new flair. Which either way, I'm down for. I just want to know why. I have so many questions. And I'm also very excited for the moments that I know are going to happen. I just want to see them happen on screen.
Right.
So, like if you play Doom Eternal, there's like a Titan that's crash landed on the Night Sentinels, like one of their palaces.
Yeah.
And you have to like fight on him, like on his dead body.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to fight that Titan,
Right.
and you're going to be the reason why he fell on that temple, and I can't wait to see that. Like me, I love prequel stuff, like origin based stuff. Like I loved Assassin's Creed Origins, and I like Batman Arkham Origins. I like prequel stuff, so I'm excited to see some of those things come into fruition. So yeah, very excited.
So I wouldn't say Marathon's my most anticipated game of this year. Assuming that it gets a 2025 release, my most anticipated game is actually Chronos.
That would probably be my number, because I can't think of any other games that are coming out this year.
I can think of a few, but like the ones that really come to mind are Marathon and Chronos. But the reason I'm really excited for Chronos is because like Marathon, it's got a lot of stuff that I just said that I'm looking forward to, that Bungie's making me excited for and stuff. But Chronos will have all of the things that I like more.
Yeah.
It's going to have the campaign. It's going to have its horror. It's going to hopefully scratch that Dead Space itch that I ever so need like 60,000 times a year.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The idea and concept for the game's really interesting. It's also just new.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like Marathon's not new, but it's definitely a new vibe. It's like it's bringing something new to extraction shooters and stuff. But this game's like new, and it's something really different, and it looks really interesting, and it looks scary.
You just remind me what I'm excited for, because I'm also excited for Chronos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for a game that kind of scratches that like Dead Space itch, but with a completely new universe and story. But speaking of games that scratch an itch that I've been longing for, but with something completely new, I don't even know when it's coming out. If it's any time, if it's even going to be this year or next year or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Tides of What's this game called?
Oh no! Here, let me look it up. Oh shit! Hold on, I think I found it. Tides of Annihilation.
Yes, Tides of Annihilation looks so cool. It looks like everything that I love about old school hack and slash games like Devil May Cry, God of War.
Coming out next year.
Next year. Okay, fuck. Okay. Well, still, I mean, it's going to scratch that itch, and it's going to be high quality.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a new universe, and you get to have like those God of War moments where you're fighting these colossal beings, and you're going to have this badass gameplay like Devil May Cry in this really cool like Victorian setting thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like this neo-Victorian.
Like neo fantasy Victorian thing going on, and I'm digging it all the way.
Yeah.
So stoked for that.
There's also that other hack and slash roguelike, the Morbid Metal.
Right, which I didn't even know about until you mentioned it. I'm also like, I think that's a Steam game specifically.
I'm sure your computer can run it.
Mine cannot. my computer couldn't even run freaking Warframe.
Oh, damn.
It's bad. My computer is barely good for editing, and that's it. No, as soon as I'm like, because after seeing that game, I'm dedicated to build a PC just so I can play games like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that one I'm excited for because I love old school hack and slash games, but I feel like when they're done, they're rather just too repetitive and like too boring, or like the gameplay's fun, but the game looks like garbage.
Yeah.
But having like high quality hack and slash games, like I've been playing a crap ton of South of Midnight lately. I've played a majority of the game yesterday as of recording this. And that's fun. It's very basic, but that's all I wanted from it. It's very like from point A to point B, occasional areas where you have to kind of like explore a little bit, but not too much. Very basic climbing, and a very kind of old school hack and slash type gameplay. It doesn't quite scratch that itch, but it's
well, it's not nearly as fast paced as like Devil May Cry.
Right. Darksiders. That was another one. I was trying to think of another example. Like Devil May Cry, God of War, Darksiders. Darksiders had a really cool like hack and slash type gameplay.
Yeah.
But South of Midnight is still really cool. I love the story. The character creation or design is so cool. The atmosphere is beautiful. I only have one gripe about it. Sorry, two gripes. But one of them is the more important one. The other one I don't really care too much about. The one that really irritates me is that chapter 5. I don't know why, but I looked it up and there's a whole Reddit about chapter 5, and it's super saturated. Like, it's super bright and saturated to the point where it hurts my eyes. Like, I got a headache. I had to take Excedrin because of this one chapter. And I didn't even explore in this one because I did my best to just rush through it so I can get to the next one.
Interesting.
And it hurt my head so bad. And I hope they patch it up and fix it. But the only other small gripe that I have is that in a lot of hack and slash games, you gain more weapons as you go. Mm-hmm. In this game, you have the same weapon, but you gain more skills and like spells, quote unquote.
Gotcha.
So it's still enough to make the game like you have more than one option.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wish it was like an older hack and slash game where throughout the game, the main character would gain more weapons and different fighting styles. So it was a little bit more fresh throughout the game. But aside from that, it's still really good. Highly recommend. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
It's really good.
I'll have to check it out.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think that does it for today, though.
I think we've covered a lot, and it's been quite some time.
It's almost 2 hours now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as you guys normally know, we appreciate you if you've made it this far. Like, comment, and subscribe goes a long way with all that algorithm stuff and helps us get more viewers and have more people find us. Leaving a rating on Spotify is also greatly appreciated. Word of mouth goes a long way and is how we get new viewers, listeners, and subscribers. With that being said, I've been your host, Aaron.
And I've been your other host, Brandon.
And we hope y'alls have a great night. We need a We need like an actual outro.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah. And goodbye.
Peace.
Peace.